So, Webtoons. How are they? To me, I mean, I've just started watching them, but to me, they're good. I mean, they range from, good to trash with everything in the world. That's just the way that things are. But it's not that I have been on this platform for long, but I've been watching, Webtoons a bit. And the ones that I've, watched are not, from Webtoons itself. I watched adaptations, explainers, and shit like that, which, considering what I watched, it's being explained, I don't mind at all. First of all, I watched one season of, Tower of God. I think it's good. I think the first season was good. The second season, I got bored in the middle of it. And to me, Tower of God was kind of, I didn't get it. But another one that I did start but didn't watch much of was God of High School, which was okay, I guess. But I did read, watch, think, do by Esther, which was, you know, an experience. Literally the first episode. The chapters in Webtoons are divided up into episodes. So I'll call them episodes instead of chapters. So in the first episode, they murder somebody, like in cold blood. It's really sets up, your expectations, really tempers your expectations. Then a few others that I can't remember the name of, but I do know that they're great. But I can explain what happens in them, so just write in the comments what you think I'm talking about. First one is a horror series in which people in the series wear animal masks, and it's supposed to be unsettling and it feels like something's off. That's the summary that I'm gonna give. No spoilers, but if you know what I'm talking about, just tell me because I don't remember the name of it. And another one that I watched, Red slash thing did, was basically it was a horror webtoon which was set in a paranormal town with entities which would prevent the main characters from leaving, and it was sacrifice related and that. But I really did like it, but I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I can't remember the name of these series. Like, the series that, well, I've watched are good, and the art that is, put in the series is incredible. Like, a few of the series that I've watched, they look beautiful. But again, I compare webtoons a lot to manga and mainstream comics because that's mainly what I've watched or, seen. Because, I've like seen a few panels from manga, and to me they look great. And mainly because most of them manga panels I've seen being animated, so I can pretty much fill in the blanks. But I've compared this to a lot of, manga and anime and comics, you know, ye olden hero comics. And I think comparing it to anime or animation in general would be not a fair comparison by any stretch of the imagination because, well, one moves and one doesn't. I think it's kind of unfair. But the feeling of motion that you get from this medium tends to be very effective, since they use a lot of camera blur, a lot of effects that make it feel like the motion is being, motioned, which is kind of hard considering, these are panels and nothing more. And webtoons are mostly in the webcomic format, basically a scroll. You know how the original Star Wars begins? Yeah, that's what you're doing with it, just scrolling down. And that's honestly fairly effective. I've not seen many webtoons fully utilize this. And for those who don't know, Webtoons is a webcomic distributor which, as you know, the name suggests, distributes web comics. And it was started in Korea, which means that a decent chunk of its, media is manhwa, Korean comics. And that's why, it has the webcomic format. I think the original Korean comics were made in this format. So that's why it uses this format. But now, after, its creation, it has grown to be the biggest distributor of comics in general, which is good. All of it is free, but I generally don't recommend watching the ads for this because the ads, man, they're ass. Ads, they don't do this platform any sort of favors because, man, they're ass. Like, I get that ads are supposed to, push what you're gonna watch, but it pushes the dumbest shit. Like, man, there are cooler series. It's just mainly just romance bullshit. I guess to each their own, but to me, I find it kind of lame, I guess, because it's so stupid. Like, some of them they mainly push are pretty meh at best, but I guess they work because I've watched it. Well, mainly I watched it for the horror webtoons because I find them incredibly interesting, man. The the creativity on this platform is great, but the art, the actual art itself, it looks so good. And it's not to say that, finding your list basically on Google, just literally my watch list is Google's recommendations. I literally just searched up popular web tunes, and that's it. That's what I did, and it popped up. And from my experience, from what I know in this webtoon sphere, these are fairly good comics. But I just started, and man, the episode count is insane. Like, just a few that I've, watched have a couple of hundred episodes, which is kind of insane, but it's what it is. You can't really do much about it. But coming back to the format, I honestly like the format a lot because it's really good for computers, because practically the only way you can do it, digitally. It won't work on paper because, well, it's paper. It's not gonna work. It's not made for that. But for computer screens, it's literally perfect. There is no better way for a comic to be made for the medium. There is none. And I think it's fine. I mean, you can't really do the standard way that comics are normally done. I mean, you could just use a next button or something like that, but just using a scroll is probably much better because, when you scroll down, you're literally just scrolling down. That's the most convenient way to watch something when you're, on the web, because you can scroll both with a screen and with a mouse, and it's probably going to be faster than, pressing a button to flip a page, which I don't think is that good. But the web comics are adapted for the medium because, well, in computers you can't really, turn the page. You can only just go to the next page by pressing a button. But in web comics, you just don't even have to press a button. You just have to scroll down, and it's fairly intuitive. And it does lead for good jump scares. Like, genuinely, it can have good scares because, well, the panels can be animated, and when you fully want to experience it, you scroll down to a full panel. And from what I've seen, it can have effective jump scares, which is great considering, from what I know, it's really hard to get good jump scares in normal comics format, unless you know you're porting comics for digital where you have to change a page, which I think if you have to do that, I think it can be much more effective than, you know, just turning a page. Because if you turn a page, I don't think it's gonna get you as much as, you know, changing the screen so that you can have a jump scare. I think it's just different. And now to my problems with, you know, webtoons. It has way too much romance. And the vast majority of its catalog is romance. I get that it's for, you know, the demographic that's watching it, but to me, I just don't like that. This is way too much for my personal taste. And yeah, I just don't like it. Like a lot of fairy tale stories and a whole lot of, you know, just plain old romance. It's just not my cup of tea. I just don't like it. I just hard pass as far as I'm concerned. Hard pass on, you know, most of the romance, which is the majority of the catalog. But the other bit of the catalog that's not, you know, romance, that's, you know, from what I've experienced is horror, is good. But yeah, I just don't like, you know, romance as a whole. I just, not for me. And so I, in summary, really like the platform, you know, that is Webtoons. If I was really big on reading, which I am not really, I just am not. If I was, I would have really liked it, but the incredible episode count mixed with me not really being into reading a lot, and it being a whole lot of, you know, romance, which is in my personal favorite, takes away from webtoons as a whole for me. But yeah, I am currently watching the most popular series by, you know, the popular tab, because there is a separate tab for popular comics, which are sure, I don't know what kind of metric they use to popularize these series, but hey, that's the metric that I'm gonna use. Like, if these series are supposed to be popular, then sure, because I have happen to have very bland taste. Because I shit you not, I really just did this when I was watching anime. I just searched good anime. The first thing that came up, that's what I watched. And I shit you not, it was good. Most of the series were actually good. I really did like them. But suffice it to say, I do like this medium. I have read, watched, seen this medium a lot, but I have a lot more to experience before I can confidently say I am a weeb, even in, you know, the webtoon community. Because I am already in a weeb in, you know, the anime sense, but now I'm branching out my weebiness. But yeah, I think this will be my last video for a bit, like for a month or two, because exam season. And I really did want to just talk about what I was, you know, into right now, because from what I've seen, the style of, you know, webtoons reminds me, the vast majority of webtoons have a style that reminds me so much about, you know, Spike's Family, which is weird, but does remind me a lot about that. But I just like it. I just like this platform, you know, webtoons, and I think I will continue reading webtoons because they're fun and I like them. And that's really all the reason that I really need. It's just good fun. But yeah, that's about it for me. Bye.